So this video is a run through a new shed build that took place in the farm in 2022, covering the process, timeline and the reasons behind it. So what used to be here was the old byre dating back to around 1924, and it was nearly 100 years old, and that used to house the dairy on the farm. There was a dairy herd of Ayrshire cows for over 90 years at Bar, but in 2009 the decision was taken to sell the dairy. Predominantly due to the price of milk, but also the big investment that was required to update the parlour and the infrastructure to be able to milk cows on the farm. Once the cows were gone, the parlour was removed and the old collecting area and cattle crush were kept, along with 50 or so cubicles and a feed passage. And then in February 2022, Storm Eunice blew the roof off the old byre, so rather than re-roof it, the decision was made to flatten it, rebuild and make it more fit for purpose. There was the opportunity to redesign the units to make them easier to manage and less labour intensive, and this was the same thought process behind the new cattle handling and crush system, and there was also a need to be able to hold more slurry on the farm for various points in the year. Above ground, the shed is 75 foot long by 44 foot wide and 14 foot high. That's roughly 23 by 13 metres wide and 4 metres high if you're working in new money. This comprises of 4 bays, each of 5.7 metre span. The portal frame from the old shed that used to house the feed passage was kept, but then re-roofed in new cladding, and the new shed was tied into this using a 10-foot overhang. Below ground, we dug a new slurry pit to house 725 cubic metres or roughly 160,000 gallons of slurry, with floating concrete slabs over the top. This was dug to a depth of 8 feet and will give us enough slurry storage for approximately 35 weeks. Internally, under the main structure, there are 8 pens which are able to hold about 100 head of young stock, plus a series of multi-purpose pens which could be used for calving, etc. Under the old shed, there's the new handling system coupled with a TePari crush, which makes cattle handling so much easier and safer. Construction of the shed started in June 2022 with a 4-month construction schedule. VTech were hired to undertake all aspects of the construction except the internal fit-out, which was done by local contractors Gavin and David Kilgour, who all did a fantastic job. Demolition was the easy part, with much of the old block work taken off-site and to be stored elsewhere. A lot of work was then taken up by digging the underground slurry store and pouring of the concrete. This was completed over the summer and we managed to get some nice decent weather which helped the concrete dry out. The slats and floor then went down, which provided a good surface on which to work and erect the main structure and install the roof and the sides of the shed. Once the roof was on, we could then begin the internal fit out, starting with the pen gates and the head yokes. This allowed us to finish in time for the weather turning in September-October and getting the cattle inside for winter. We were then able to focus on the install of the new handling system, which was finished in November 2022, although we are still putting the finishing touches to this now, including the access platform grates, which you can see here. And this is the end result. The shed delivers on everything that we wanted it to. It provides a much improved cattle handling system, cuts down time feeding and mucking out cattle in the winter every morning, and delivers enough slurry storage, as I mentioned, for up to 35 weeks of the year, which is really helpful. We had the contractors in to pump slurry out the storage for the first time in January. Some of the slurry from the existing outside lagoon was pumped into the new slurry store and then mixed and spread using the umbilical system. These videos were taken in February 2023 and the cattle have been in all winter, which is why everything looks really nice and mucky.